A great throwback colorway on a fantastic shoe. These might be my favorite one yet. And I say that every time because they've all been really good. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today, we got a detailed look and breakdown on a colorway that honestly should have released on the original model it debuted on, but I will take this nonetheless. This is the Jordan 2x3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, whatever you want to call them. This is them, and it's in a brand new but familiar colorway that most of us might be looking at and be like, hey, I remember that from 2004. And just in case you forgot, this is the box. It's very similar to the shoes themselves. You've got the 2 over the 3, and I think that it's a great box. Now, as for the shoes themselves, this colorway, like I was saying before, is very familiar because it debuted on the Air Jordan 2 Low during its 2004 retro run. So when the 2s first started coming back, and I'm not talking about the 1994, 1995 versions of the Air Jordan 2 retros, that's before retros were really popping, but I'm talking about post 1999 retro era, which is when the retro era really started to boom. And in 2004, the Air Jordan 2 came back for the first time since 1995. They did it in an original colorway, which was the white, black, and red, aka the Chicagos, even though there's another Chicago, which are considered the homes. And those would come back eventually, but not quite then. And that original Chicago colorway with the black midsole released alongside a brand new look, which was the Air Jordan 2 Retro Chrome. Those could really use a retro. Those are freaking awesome. Now with that, they also introduced the Air Jordan 2 Low for the first time since the original 1987 releases. And instead of doing them in the simple, white, black, and red and white and red colorways that they originally did in the 80s, they actually brought out some new colorways, both men's and women's exclusives. In 2004, the Midnight Navies released, and it was a gorgeous colorway, man. Like, it was probably my favorite look on the Air Jordan 2, where it gave you that black midsole Chicago vibe, but it was completely different in terms of color, because instead of invoking that Chicago flavor, they were going with a more UNC look, and it looked awesome. And I loved lows on top of that. It was great. We almost got a retro of those back in 2016, but holy shit, that shoe was fucking awful. Not only was the leather used just horrendously bad, but it had this weird fucking treatment on there that looked like, I don't know if they were trying to go for a basketball like feel, but it was just awful. It was the most pebbled, ugly looking stuff I've ever seen. I was super disappointed. And on top of that, they didn't even bother painting the midsole like they did with the original 2004 release. Fast forward to today though, we've got the 2x3 or whatever they're called, and they're very close. It's very similar. Obviously these don't share the Air Jordan 2 bottoms. I was really hoping that we were gonna get those once we got those remastered Air Jordan 2 lows, but that never happened. But the outsole right here is also familiar because, well, I mean, it's from the Air Jordan 3, so that's cool. I really love the way that it looks. I love UNC. I think that that colorway is just awesome, and it's really cool that they are able to tie it into something as iconic as his college days. So I really dig that. When you move on up, you've still got Air Jordan 3 tooling, and it is done up in the pre-vintage fashion, so a lot of people are not liking this, but I think that looks fine. And much like some of the previous 2/3 shoes and some of the more recent Air Jordan 3s like the black cements, the PU midsole right here, the polyurethane that they use for the midsole is super comfortable. It's like really soft, fairly squishy. I think that it's great. So I love that they're being consistent with this and not just like placing it on some models, because we've seen that before. And it just feels like that this is going to be the new feel for polyurethane moving forward. I don't know if that's true or not. I hope that it is, and it looks that way because I've been getting lots of shoes with polyurethane midsoles like the recent AirTech Challenge 2, and they feel awesome. I will say that I wish that the Midnight Navy extended all the way down, but it's not a deal breaker or anything like that. The first thing that I thought of when I saw these on shelves was like, holy shit, they're paying tribute to that colorway, finally. Like, I was so excited, so I had to grab a pair. And the upper, just like most of the other versions of this shoe or the other colorways, is just fantastic. It's not premium or anything by any means, but it's a nice soft leather. They are very thin cuts, but it also has a very thin polyurethane coat on top as well. So it's not like a big, like stiff piece of cardboard or anything like that. Like, these actually move well with your foot. They wear really well. Again, underfoot, that comfort is there. I think that it's great. And before I forget, this is the insole, by the way. It is a piece of shit. So if you wanted to pull that out and swap it out for anything that you want, your feet will appreciate it later. But yeah, the upper right here just really does a great job at really like copying that original 2004 look. There's nothing altered or anything like that. It looks fantastic. Although I will say, if you want to get super nitpicky, the little piping right here is all UNC everything. I believe the originals was more of that kind of like gradient fade, where it was a dark midnight navy that went into UNC, but I don't think that that's a big deal. Again, when I saw these, I was just like, dude, finally. And I almost forgot, just in case you were wondering, or maybe you didn't watch the previous videos on these shoes in different colors, the midsole does feature the same exact tech as the Air Jordan 3. So we've got a 4-foot encapsulated air sole unit and then a visible air sole unit in the heel. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, you could do one of two things. You can go true to size and you'll be good to go. For super narrow footers, I would definitely recommend that. Or you can go up half a size, because there's just a little ball of stitching and things like that. Basically, there's multiple layers overlapping in one single spot, and it's in that spot right there. So if you do have some like foot swelling issues or a wide foot or whatever, you might want to go up half a size, because that will help alleviate that. And yes, I've been experiencing that. I don't have a wide foot or anything like that, but I play basketball a lot, so my feet tend to like, you know, get a little bloated sometimes. And the longer that I wear these throughout the day, my feet will expand and everything like that, and they'll push right into that, and it's pretty painful. So I went up half a size with this pair. I went true to size with all my other ones. Lengthwise, true to size is perfect, but that thing right there, be careful. And these are available now at multiple retailers. I just happened to grab mine locally here at Phenom, which is located in the Delco shopping center, but I've seen these everywhere. So I'm pretty sure that if you're interested, you'll be able to find them, or you probably have seen them before, even if you might not know what they are. And with that being said, what is today's question of the day?
Has there ever been a Marvel or DC villain that you have rooted for to win against the heroes? Or are there any villains that you just enjoy seeing?
Has there ever been a Marvel? Are we talking about movies?
I was gonna say, can I answer this?
Go for it, because you're a villain person, which is, I swear she's evil.
Somebody here had us stop watching. You had already watched the series, but you had us stop watching Daredevil because I was rooting for the Kingpin so hard and hating on Daredevil in the process.
You don't understand the level of hatred that was going on for this character, the good guy.
He just wasn't.
He was conflicted.
He was exhausting is what he was.
He's going through the hero's journey, and she was sitting there just ramming on this fucker the whole time. And I'm like, bro, he doesn't want to kill people, but he wants to make justice happen, and he can't do that because our court system sucks. And she's sitting there being like, all he's doing is crying. It's like, no, he's not crying, okay? He's beating the shit out of people, and then he feels bad afterwards.
So many tears.
So it was crazy. But yeah, it was the moment that she finally let it out, being like, I actually am rooting for the Kingpin. I was like, this show. You don't get to watch it anymore. Even though the show's great. It hurt me to my core that you would root for a fucking villain. All right, so have I rooted for a villain? I still don't know the parameters quite yet, like just in general.
In general.
I have not really rooted for a villain, no. I have laughed at the villain's antics, you know what I mean? Because sometimes, well, really sometimes that's all you could do when it's so up, you're like, whoa, can't believe that happened, you know what I mean? So you just kind of laugh at it, but at the same time, maybe a better rephrasing of the question is, have I ever sympathized with a villain? And that would be yes, but I think that's also what makes a good villain, is when you can like kind of relate to what they're trying to do. Like if we go and strip down everything just like real baseless, if we're talking about Thanos from the Infinity Saga from the MCU, I think that most of us could understand what he was doing. I don't think that all of us would take those measures to accomplish that. That's maybe one example. If we're gonna move over to the DC side, the Arthur Fleck version of the Joker, what's that guy's name? Joaquin Phoenix? Like that version of the Joker was, I don't want to say super relatable, but like the shit that he was going through, like you definitely sympathized, you know what I mean? Like for that person, and watching it was really disturbing, like how somebody can be treated in such a way to the point to where he cracks so hard. And that's like really indicative of this one storyline, One Bad Day, that's like part of like the DC Comics line and stuff like that, where it really does just take one bad day and that's how a villain can be made. And so I thought that it was really interesting, but I wouldn't say that I was rooting for him. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like when he murdered people, like I wasn't like thrilled and like I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So that's where I come from. It's more of a sympathy type of thing. Like you feel for him and stuff, and you wish that that's not how went down. But I think that's what makes the whole like villain versus hero arc so fun, or I wouldn't say fun, but so compelling. that like you want to find out what happens.
Not to bring up Walking Dead, because I feel like we do that a lot. When
Do
we
we?
get off topic, like, yes.
Really?
If people like have been with us for a few years, then yes. But that's what I enjoyed about watching The Walking Dead, was because even almost every single like bad person they brought in, like you eventually got to see their backstory.
Right.
And almost all of them, except for the one lady.
The like, skinwalker?
Yes.
Okay.
You could like understand how they got there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that's that human side of things. So like, I think people have explained this before in different media and stuff, but like if like a comic book movie, it's like there's still like a large group of people that see comic book films and they're like, that's kid. If you have a good one and you take away the fact that that's Batman and that's Joker, or that that's Captain America and that's the Red Skull or whatever, and they're good movies still at the end of the day, like that's like just good writing, you know what I mean? And that's like compelling storytelling and so I think that that's really cool when like you're just putting a slightly different mask or skin on a character or a person that's in a story, and that's how a lot of people end up relating to comic books and because they are supposed to be us in some way, you know what I mean? Like when Peter Parker was introduced, like he was every kid reading comics, but the main thing though is that at that point in time, every kid reading comics was only the sidekick. And that was the first time that he's the hero. And like everybody's like, oh shit. And so like you relate to him on a different level. So yeah, so I think that that's really interesting. I do, to your point, like they're all humans, you know, like, or human stories or whatever, human feelings, emotions. And just like real life, you go one way or you go the other.
Quickly, there was a part 2 to this question.
Oh, did you not read it?
No, I did.
You did. What was the part 2?
Any favorite villains that you have from the DC or Marvel?
One of my favorites is the Joker. I think that that's the one that you let, because the stuff that he does sometimes, you're just like, I cannot believe that they did that, like that they wrote that, you know what I'm saying? And so like, you've got to be demented in some way. And so that type of shit to me is like comical. Norman Osborn was one, which he's very similar to the Joker, but the stuff that they've done to that character, sometimes I'm like, what are they doing? That's too much. Start listing off some franchises. I'm only seeing the main ones, the Batmans, the Supermans.
Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's...
I went niche.
Well, that's super fantastical. I'm talking about Galactus, the Mole Man.
The Mole Man?
Yeah, the Mole Man.
The Molinator.
That's not the coolest villain, bro. Like, it's not.
Okay, put it to the audience. Have them come up with cool.
You guys, go fishing for me. Like, pull some really great comic book villains that are not the standard, Joker, Goblin, stuff like that. Two-Face is a really good one. Clayface, sometimes, depending on which one it is. Mr. Freeze might be an all-time GOAT, based off of his backstory alone. Just
See?
There
That's
we
what
go.
I'm saying.
There we go, okay.
Like, you can feel sympathetic. All he's trying to do is get his lady back.
You don't even know the half of it. They added to that story.
Okay.
She didn't even want his ass.
Oh.
That's how she ended up in that way.
It's like that. I only watched really one episode with you, that new HBO show.
What are we talking about? Is it a comic book?
Yeah, it has that
Batman?
Frankenstein-looking chick.
Oh, you're talking about Creature Commandos?
Yes.
Yo, that show's crazy.
Her episode is the one that I actually paid attention to and watched all the way through. It was really sad for that one guy.
Everyone. Are you talking about Frankenstein?
Yes.
Or the monster?
The monster. He
Right.
just wanted a lady and he didn't get his lady.
I know, but you can't act like that if she says no. You know what I mean? Like, you can't.
I know.
So, like, that's what I'm saying.
But he just wants love.
I know.
Because Frankenstein, the scientist, had love, and he wanted love too.
I know.
And he took his love.
That whole series, it starts off real rough, okay? Like, the first episode's a little clunky. But from then onward, bro, I'm serious. The Weasel? What's that character?
Tim Gunn? Or what's his face?
Yeah, James Gunn's brother is doing the voice of him, and he was in the Suicide Squad sequel.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. I want to say it's the Weasel or whatever. I can't remember his name, but like even that one, that episode was the most f***ed up I think that I've seen, where you sympathize for the villain and then you question, is he, or is he like that Joker movie? Is he what you made him? Yeah. So like it's so crazy, but really great show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And on top of all of that, what do you think about these? Let us know down below in the comment section. We would love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here and spending your time with us. We greatly appreciate it. We will catch you guys on the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.